The presenting sponsor of Pod Save America is Blue Apron. Blue Apron is the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the nation.
Not to brag, they said.
Their mission is to make incredible home cooking accessible to everyone. Blue Apron achieves this by supporting, of course, a more sustainable food system, setting the highest standards for ingredients, and building a community of home chefs.
That's the best part. You have potlucks. You all bring the same dish.
For less than $10 per person per meal, Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes along with pre-portioned ingredients to make delicious home-cooked meals. Choose from a variety of new recipes each week, or let Blue Apron's culinary team surprise you.
Do you know that this month they're exclusively using the food that didn't meet Michelle Obama's standards for school lunches?
Anyway, customize your recipes each week based on your preferences. Blue Apron has several delivery options, so you can choose what fits your needs.
Boat, horse. These are just some of the different ways Blue Apron can get it to your house.
And there's no weekly commitment, so you only get deliveries when you want them.
Sometimes the boxes are carried in an ancient litter by 4 people. You know the litter? Like you carry a Cleopatra in or something?
Each meal comes with a step-by-step, easy-to-follow recipe card and pre-portioned ingredients. It can be prepared in 40 minutes or less. Blue Apron's freshness guarantee promises that every ingredient in your delivery arrives ready to cook, or they'll make it right. Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/crooked. You'll love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron, so don't wait. That's blueapron.com/crooked.
A better way to cook.
Blue Apron.
A better way to cook.
A better way to cook. Welcome to Pod Save America. I'm Jon Favreau.
I'm Jon Lovett.
This is a special bonus episode. When we were in New York on Monday, we recorded a little interview with the host of The Daily Show, Trevor Noah.
Yes, we did. Tommy's not here right now.
Tommy's not here. This is just Lovett and I. We're just recording an intro for the interview that we did with Trevor
Tommy
Noah.
Vietor.
There you go. You got it. Anyway, we sat down with Trevor before we went on the show. He was kind enough to give us some time, and we talked to him about, the stuff we talk to people about.
We also went on The Daily Show.
We did. Yeah, go check it out. I think it was good. Did you watch it yet?
I felt good about it.
Okay.
They made one edit that made it seem like I was answering a question that you had answered.
They cut out my answer about Hillary Clinton.
Right, which sounded like I answered that.
Right.
But I did not answer that. I was answering another thing.
My answer was great. I don't know why they cut
sad
it.
that I wanted to. My answer works better after your answer, which is why I was bummed.
No one will ever know what I said.
No, but it was still a good interview.
Anyway, I'm sure she's coming on our show.
We're going to get her.
Okay. Without further ado, here is our interview with Trevor Noah. Welcome to a special episode of Pod Save America with the host of The Daily Show, Trevor Noah.
Thank you very much for having me, guys.
Thanks for making the time. Okay, so when you took over The Daily Show, a Donald Trump presidency was still a very remote possibility.
Right.
How have you had to adapt to this new reality? How has it changed what your conception of the show was going to be?
Is it reality? I feel like it's just a nightmare and I'm coping. It's just, when you get to grips with a nightmare, like in your nightmare, have you ever had those where you go all right, I know this is a nightmare, but I'm just going to make things work.
You have to deal with it.
Yeah,
Stuck,
I have that sometimes. You know what? I think the biggest thing that I've had to do, and the show has had to do, is work in a world where a lot of the things that President Trump does would already be jokes or escalations that we would make. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, for instance, I remember it happened on the campaign trail for the first time. I said, it's only a matter of time before Trump kicks a baby out of a rally. Because he was just kicking out everyone. Right. And I was like, man, this guy's going to kick a baby out. And then he kicked a baby out of his rally. And I went, oh, man, he does the escalation of the joke. So you've got to find another place to take everything. And then you've got to find a way to process the information and give it to people where they don't think you're being ludicrous with everything you say.
Right. It's that he's parody. He's beyond parody. He is the end. He's the logical conclusion of every joke.
Basically.
So where do you go from there?
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
So where do you go from there?
Strangely enough, I find you dig deeper into the truth. And then you find that he is not the end because he is still trapped within the confines of reality. And I know it sounds maybe a little bit heady to say for a joke, but what happens is you dig deeper into the truth, and then I find that's where the reality of Trump actually exists. So if you stay on the surface with him, then there is nothing. You go, the jokes are all gone. But once you get into the policy side of what he's doing, once you get into the ideas behind who Donald Trump is and what he stands for, then you find there's always a joke because he takes it to a conclusion that is still sort of safe for him. The next level of the joke or the next level of the idea is a space that speaks more to the truth of what's happening.
This is interesting to me. It's almost as if, I'm like, now as you say that makes sense, because it's almost like saying that he is at the end of parody is almost to kind of accede to his terms, right? That like that this is as far out as you can get. Yes. This is as crazy as you can get, when that's not true.
It's not true at all. It's not true. You take it to the next level. So there was a joke, for instance, we did last week. Donald Trump got a red button, reportedly got a red button put on his desk. Mm-hmm. And when he presses it, someone brings Coke. Right? And we were like, that sounds like a joke. Because red button, president's desk, come on. Yeah. That sounds like a joke. So then we went, all right, where do we take it from there? And then we turned the joke into, he doesn't even care about the Coke. He just does that because he likes pressing a button, and then a butler walks into the room. And the butler's Mitt Romney. And then so what we then do is now take you back into that world. And then as Trump, then I'll be like, and the butler's Mitt Romney. And he's like, that's right, Mitt. Just pour it into my mouth. That's right. Like a baby bird. Pour it in, Mitt. Pour it in your mind now. And it's just rather taking you to another place where you go like, oh yeah, Mitt Romney. Oh yeah, he kissed the ring. Oh, just a moment where, you know. Because I don't think we've processed all of the information in and around Trump. I feel like there was like a data dump of
it's too
everything.
Much every day.
And sometimes it's nice to go back where people have actually said to me, they go, when did he say that? And I go, oh, before you voted, that's when.
You talk about waking up into a nightmare. I mean, you were born into a nightmare of apartheid in South Africa. You lived in South Africa, you lived in Australia, the UK. Does that help you find absurdity in the U.S. political system? And do people who are born and raised here ever get defensive and feel like you're attacking their country?
It depends on who and where. You know, one thing that I like about traveling is it gives you the perspective on what ideas and rules are truly superficial. You know, so what is offensive in one place and what is offensive everywhere? What is a norm and what is a cultural rule that people abide by everywhere? And what are ideas that politicians in certain places have just sprung on people that everyone have accepted as normal?
Right.
That's the first thing I think that helps with comedy. The second thing is people do say that sometimes they'll be like, oh, no, you know, who are you to make a joke? You're not from here. You're not. And then I go, look, man, essentially, in a strange way, I am from here. You know, in two ways. One, America's history and South Africa's history are painfully similar. Mm-hmm. You know, and then the flip side of that is America's been involved in the world for so long. You know, part of how I speak English is because of American TV shows. You know, Nelson Mandela, part of the reason he went to jail was because the CIA was part of him being caught. Like, we have been influenced by this world. America brought things to us and taught us how to be America. So
it is weird how often you say, eat my shorts.
My mom used to think Bart Simpson was the devil. So, but yeah, that's like a place where I go like, I feel like this is the end goal. This is what I was taught by America. I wouldn't have dreamed of making jokes about a president or making jokes about my elders. That's American TV. That's what America taught me to do, is poke fun at authority figures. And that's where I've ended up, is in the place where I was taught.
So you wrote an op-ed in the New York Times shortly after the election called "Let's Not Be Divided. Divided People Are Easier to Rule." How do you balance the desire to reach out with the comedic responsibility to go after Trump?
Well, I think the mistake a lot of people make is they go, who are you trying to unite? So people go like, oh, are you reaching out to Trump supporters? I go, hey, man, I'm not an idiot. Or I am, but I try and learn from my stupidity. And one thing I've learned is some people will never see your point of view, nor do they wish to see your point of view. Some people are only interested in your oppression or in their superiority. That's something that you can't fight against at some point. Yeah. When I talk about division, there's divisions even amongst people that claim to be on the same side. You know, there are people fighting over the tiny details of language or of the discourse that we have in and around race, but they have it at the same intensity that they would with a quote-unquote enemy. You know, and so I go, just be careful when you're doing that. Think about what your intention is. Think about what the other person's intention is, and then figure out your game plan from there. Sometimes I feel like we're in a space where everyone is so uptight that anyone that makes a mistake around them is automatically the enemy. And I go, if that happens, you're going to end up in a world where there is no opposition to this Trump. There is nothing that can stand up to it because you're spending so much time fighting amongst yourselves.
Right.
Yeah, it's really interesting that so much, maybe it's partly because of Twitter and social media or just kind of a culture of punditry, but so often it feels as though people's reaction to a clip, to a sentence, to a word is not, here's how I feel about it, but how could you say this when other people are going to react in this way?
Yes.
Right? That we're all pundits and none of us are citizens.
Yes.
Right? And I just wonder, like, how do you break that way of thinking? Like, how do you get people to just accept something on its terms, you know?
The first thing you have to accept is that you can't. So I can't change everybody, nor do I wish to change everybody. I also understand that the role of comedy a lot of the time is to break the rules. That's what makes comedy fun. You know, that's what comedy is about. I think it was Carlin who said comedy, or the job of comedians is to find the line and then cross it. And so in that world, what I do and what I try to do on the show is just one joke at a time, win a person over, make you think about something, spark an emotion in some way. And I'm not always trying to spark the same emotion. Sometimes I want you to groan. Sometimes I want you to laugh out loud. Sometimes I just want you to pause and think and then giggle. Each joke is like a dish in a meal. You know, they're not all meant to do the same thing. And so what I'm trying to do in those instances is work with the people who are with me and carry on that journey, and then along the way garner new fans who are willing to be in a space of comedy because they understand what we are essentially trying to do.
So you have a president who's, the truth is under assault. Every day he's deriding them as fake news, he's attacking them. Meanwhile, you have this whole generation of young people that are looking to comedians like you, like John Oliver, Sam B, for the truth, for their news. Does that change your approach? Does that change the responsibility you feel when you do the show? Or is it still, I'm trying to make people laugh?
I think the two are the same. You know, good comedy is true comedy, in my opinion. That's what made South African comedy what it was when we first started out, and what a lot of it still is today, is that we were in a world where no one was allowed to say anything. There was no free speech. And then you have democracy and you have an explosion of free speech. And one of the things that explodes the most is comedy all of a sudden. And what connects with the people is the truth that's contained in jest. And I've always loved how a joke connects to people. Like, you don't want to laugh. It's an involuntary action. You see people going like, oh man, I shouldn't be laughing at this, or I sorry, I didn't mean to. You know, that outburst is magic. And that magic is created by a sudden shot of truth. And so for me, I think if you have a responsibility, or if you take comedy seriously, then you take the truth seriously. And some comedians will do it with the benign, you know, whether it's Gaffigan or Seinfeld, the truths of bacon and milk. Right. And then other comedians, you know, legends like Pryor or Chappelle will tell you the truth about race and you know, conversations that are in America. But what makes it great is the fact that it's based in the truth.
This is Pod Save America. Stick around. There's more great show coming your way.
Pod Save America is brought to you by Texture. In 2017, commit to staying more informed. With everything going on in our world, and boy is there a lot, John, it can be hard to keep up with the latest political moves and perspectives. Not if you're listening to Pod Save America. There's one way to do it.
I have never heard you say the phrase political moves. I don't know. I don't know.
It's like catchphrase of mine.
Again, I'm not sure, but keep going.
Here's the good news. Texture makes it easy to keep up with access to magazines like Time, The Atlantic, Newsweek, and hundreds of others.
NRA magazine?
Breitbart.
What's NRA's magazine called?
I don't know.
It has
Something
a name
terrible.
that makes you uncomfortable.
And hundreds of others, all on your phone or tablet. The Texture app has gone beyond delivering just the magazine itself. They've made it easy to find and enjoy the articles you want to read. Texture makes magazines easy, and there are so many great ones out there. And on Texture, you'll find over 180 articles about Trevor Noah alone.
Wow.
Wow, the ad people knew that we were doing a show about Trevor Noah.
Are you looking to build an Oppo file on Trevor Noah after hearing him on today's podcast?
If so, Texture is your app.
Did you like his interview with us a bit too much?
You can find Trevor in magazines like Vanity Fair, Wired, and Time. Texture's searchable. You can mark what you like, check out back issues, view bonus video content, and they even curate articles and magazines just for you, or whoever you're giving Texture to this year. Texture is normally $9.99 a month, and you can get over 200 magazines. But if you sign up right now At Texture.com/crooked, you get a 14-day free trial. Why subscribe to just a couple of magazines when you can have all of your favorites on your smartphone or tablet all the time for way less? Right now, Texture is offering our listeners a 14-day free trial when you go to Texture.com/crooked. That's 14 days to try Texture for free when you go to Texture.com/crooked. Texture is a better way to
read about Trevor Noah.
We both got there. Pod Save America is also brought to you by Upside. John, I found the best new way for you to buy business travel.
Is it going over to your house to get the Crooked Media card and then
using it and forgetting it to give it back?
Using it to buy food when you're not around?
Good answer, but no, it's Upside.com. And I'm telling you, if you're not a business traveler, you know someone who is, and you have to tell them about Upside. Here's why I love it.
I find that to be a little bit insulting to our listeners. Like, that's too early to be deciding that these people don't travel for work. Our listeners are jet setting. They are racking up points on airlines.
I'm sure they are. Every time you buy a trip at Upside, you save a ton of money, and they give you an Amazon gift card worth $100, $200, even $300. Well, which is it?
What?
It's like, anyway.
What's the catch, Upside?
Every time the way they do it is really clever. Upside bundles your flights and hotels together for one low price. Bundled pricing saves money, especially on business travel. So Upside gives you free Amazon gift cards. Bundled pricing. If you're a frequent business traveler, your company saves a ton of money, and you can get thousands a year just for buying your air and hotel together at Upside. Plus, you still get all your miles. You'd be crazy not to check out Upside.com if you're shopping for business travel. It takes just 3 minutes to see how much you can save by buying your flights and hotels together for one low price.
And Amazon gift cards like cash to me.
It's amazing. I'm going to do this right after we finish this ad. Check out what we've arranged for you. Use the code CROOKED, and you're guaranteed to get at least $100 Amazon gift card your first trip. The code CROOKED gets you at least a $100 Amazon gift card for free. How can you not do it? It's a no-brainer. Save big on travel and get a big gift card every trip. We love Upside.com. Upside.com, a better way to cook. Minimum purchase required. See site for complete details.
I think using the Crooked code may get you an extra Amazon gift card on top of the one you get every time. It's like you get a bonus.
We're just making it up as we go. Just go on Upside.com. You'll figure it out for yourself. Use it.
It just seems like you're getting some Amazon money
no matter
which way it goes.
Go to Upside.com. You're using some money.
Honestly, we're going to go after. We're going to figure it out.
Okay. Well, we'll see you later. So there's a story in this month's Atlantic titled, "How Late Night Comedy Fueled the Rise of Trump. Sneering hosts have alienated conservatives and made liberals smug."
Oh, let's get into it. I'm excited about it.
We hate this story very much.
New York, Ross Douthat said this in the New York Times during the race. Like, Jake Tapper asked Sam B about it this weekend. What's your reaction to this? It's a common conservative critique these days.
You know what my thing is. First of all, I think we need to step away from the hot takes of one thing causing Trump. Can we just pause that for a moment?
Yeah.
Like, you know
Hillary
what,
caused Trump.
You know what? You know what caused it? The one thing that caused Obama at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. That was the moment that caused. Fox News. That was the thing that. The White guys.
I know. We all did it.
There are many things that contributed to Donald Trump. With regards to the sneering comedy, does that alienate some people? Yes. We're all different in our styles of comedy. I'm very different to Sam B, who's very different to John Oliver, who's very different to Stephen Colbert. Yes, we're all operating in the same space, but just like players in a sports team, we're all slightly different. I mean, that was part of the thing with me when I started, is people said, "Oh, he's not sneering enough. Right. He's not, angry enough, or he's not." And I was like, "Yeah, but that's not what I'm trying to do." And over time, I guess I've grown with an audience now that accepts how I do my comedy. But I don't know if that contributes directly. Yeah, there'll always be people who feel like they feel condescended. But I would argue that politicians have more of that power than comedians do. When a politician's out there on the stump, they have the ability to connect. That's what Obama did really well. Right. It's the difference between saying, we're going to shut down coal, and saying we're going to make sure your jobs are intact. I feel like those are the things. I doubt that somebody's at the voting booth going, "Yeah, this will show you, Trevor Noah. Take that TBS vote. That'll show you."
But I want to dig into that for 1 second, because I do think that the idea that there are people voting against Democrats just to make a point at HBO or Comedy Central is ridiculous. But sometimes I do wonder about what we're saying to ourselves, right? That we're kind of speaking a language to ourselves about what's absurd and what's not. And I guess my question would be sort of, what are the ways in which you find you're challenging the mostly liberal audience that's watching your show, right? That you're not making a joke at, say, Trump's expense or conservatives' expense, which I love, but saying, hey, you're part of the joke too. You deserve to be made fun of too.
Well, it always depends on what the story is and what's going on. I very quickly come to learn that false equivalency is not anything I wish to participate in. So I'm not going to try and search for something when there's a glaringly obvious, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not the guy where Godzilla's coming over the horizon and I'm like, yeah, but you also double parked. Let's talk about that for a second. There has to be some context to what's going on. Yeah. There has to be a level, and Donald Trump as the president, in my opinion and in my point of view, is the largest issue. Now, you can go, I disagree with you, Trevor, and I say, yes, I understand. This is my view, and I guess maybe this is my bubble that may be the same filter as many liberal people in America and a lot of the UK and a lot of Europe and a lot of Australia and a lot of Africa and a lot of, maybe I'm in that bubble then. But
the non-crazy part of humanity bubble.
I do think it's a big group. But what I try and do though is look for those moments. I don't try and create them artificially because it'll literally feel like that. Where it's like, all right, I've been hitting on one thing, and let me give you an example. If I'm in New York and I'm doing jokes about New York, let's say just on stage in a comedy club, I'm not going to stop my show and be like, all right, now let's make jokes about Pennsylvania because I've spent a lot of time on New York. It's time to know where I am and what's happening is what I respond to as a comedian. And so when I travel, when I go somewhere else, my comedy changes because what is happening to me is changing as well. And so if I feel this, then this is what I respond to. Otherwise, it wouldn't be authentic.
Did you get Obama to loosen up and laugh when you interviewed him? He was always tough. He'd be like, that was good.
Yes, he would. He'd always do he'd smile and then he'd be like, that was funny.
Right, like,
that was funny.
Why didn't you
that was
laugh?
nice.
Thanks, boss. Makes me feel good.
That was nice. I like that. That was good. He, you know what? He relaxed like before and after the interview. Like that's like Obama's super funny. I mean, you guys know better. He's really funny. But when it comes to the interview, then President Obama is there, and you can see that he calculated and he knew that every word could and would be taken or used against him, and so he had to precisely pick every single word he used. And
he does that less than most too, but still, it's like
But then Trump is just like, I don't know if that's a thing. Like Donald Trump is just like, words, I don't know.
Not a lot of self-editing.
Maybe sometimes, folks, we're the best, the greatest. You never know. Whatever. Pick which. He adds all the words and he's like, you guys can make your own paragraph. Whatever.
He literally says that. Take it however you want. Yeah. Whatever I say, just take it however you feel. These words have no consequences.
Yeah. He's like, just do it.
We have separated words from meaning. We are in outer space.
Well, that's true. Who was it? It was, I think it was McCain today. Was it McCain who said that? He said, don't listen to what Trump says. Just watch what he does. Right. And I was like, Jesus in heaven, that is...
That was the part of the whole, don't take him literally.
We tried that during the campaign.
But that is terrifying.
Seriously, not
but
literally.
Then Donald Trump is the same guy who says, and I'm out there, folks, and what do they say? They say, oh, he's joking. I don't joke, folks. I don't joke. I say what I mean. We're gonna build a wall.
For people listening, Donald Trump is not here.
The hand motions are perfect. That's true.
Yeah. Nailed it. Trevor Noah, thank you so much. I know you're very busy.
Oh, no, thank you very much. Are we done?
We're
done?
Yeah, you got a show to do.
Don't we have 5 more minutes,
maybe?
maybe?
Us.
Oh, man, this was fun, man. You guys are amazing, man. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for letting us come to your show.
Now I interview you guys. This is going to be fun. Thank you very much for being on my show, and thank you for having me on yours.
Cool.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
That's our show for today. Thank you, Trevor Noah, for joining Pod Save America.
Yeah.
I thought that was a wonderful interview.
It was interesting.
Yeah, I'd like to have him back. Maybe he'll do the podcast someday.
Yeah, I wish we had more time.
But yeah, we were a little hurried. We had to go do the show. We had to go promote ourselves. Anyway, thank you for listening to this special bonus episode of Pod Save America.
Do you think people realize that we're padding it right now to make it feel a little bit longer?
I don't know.
Do you think they've liked this?
Do you think they're still listening? When do you think they'll turn it off?
Do you think they like this extra? You know what we should do is we should have a word at the very end that we say, and we say, this is a great idea actually. Today's word is pistachio.
And what does that mean?
If you made it this far in the podcast, please tweet Jon Favreau the word pistachio.
Oh, thank you for my mentions. Jon Favreau, pistachio.
At Jon Favs, pistachio.
A better way to cook.